Let's just wait for everybody to get situated here, and then we'll start. There we go. Okay, well, happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to our weekly AI success call. Today, we're going to be mostly focused on onboarding new clients to the whole setup and process and everything. But to start things off, we're gonna go ahead and just do another quick just overview of the entire setup process for yourself. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. So this right here is the main login page. This is where you'll go to see all of your settings and stuff like that and test the emulator. So I'll just go ahead and log in real quick. And whenever you log in, shows you all the different sub accounts that you want to use. So I'll just go ahead and log into one here. So once you choose a sub account, it will bring you into this page here. This is just shows you all the different things that have triggered the bot to reach a fallback. This is just kind of the default little page here, but this will show you if the bot is having any issues or anything like that. Like for example, this message right here is just kind of random just to test it out. We just said lol what, and it responded with, sorry, I don't think I'm the best person to answer that for you. Can you tell me more about what project or service you're interested in, etc. But the main thing we'll be looking at here is over on this, like that, over here in this settings tab right here. We'll go here, and this is where you'll choose the go high level settings. So this is the location name that you'll be using. You'll see it's matched with the same one up here. This is where you'll choose the calendar that you'll want to use. And if you are planning on having the bot be able to access a calendar and to actually try to book appointments, you will choose book appointment here. The opportunity status 1 and no objective, that's kind of just placeholder stuff. If you are using ChatGPT, you will want to make sure that you have ConnectBot when set to control with CRM workflows. Otherwise, things won't really work too well. And then the follow-up stale leads, this is a placeholder feature for right now because most of this can basically just be handled in Go High Level itself. So you don't really have to mess with this any. Moving on to the AI tab, this is the actual important stuff. So this is where you'll choose which AI provider you want to use. We do still technically support Dialogflow, but we highly recommend using GPT-3 just because it's 1,000 times more robust with what it can actually accomplish. This right here is the OpenAI key that you're using, and you find this in the actual account that you have set up with OpenAI. Just to be aware, whenever you set up a OpenAI key, they only show you that once. So you'll need to paste that into everything that you can either save that somewhere in a document or just make sure you have it put everywhere you need to. The prompt, this is the main kind of thing here where you actually tell the bot what its purpose is, all the rules and stuff like that. We can just span this down, take a look. So it's starting off with just describing what the bot is and what its purpose is, and you're telling the bot directly. So whenever you're setting up the prompt, you kind of want it to be like you talking to the bot are blank, the assistant for whatever your company is. And then you want to format it in kind of describing what the purpose of that company is so that the bot can kind of know more about what's going on, right? And so we have a big little description here of what we offer and also what its job is. So right here, your job is to answer any questions the contact may have and to try to schedule an appointment for the contact to meet with a member of our team. So after you tell it who it is and who it works for, then you want to tell it what its purpose is. So its purpose is to set up a meeting The initial meeting is totally free. Scheduling the contact is your primary goal. If they seem interested, you should try to coordinate a date or time with them, etc. So that's you kind of want to format the prompt in this way because it's how whenever you set it up like this, it's much easier for the AI to actually recognize what it's supposed to do because everything is formatted in this way, right? So you always want to kind of have it where you tell it what it is, who it works for, what its purpose is, and then after you tell it what its purpose is, you want to tell it what its rules are that it should be following. So for here, we have if the contact asks a question that you are not able to answer truthfully, answer with, I'm not entirely sure about that. Do not answer any questions you were not directly asked by the contact. You should answer questions as they ask them, et cetera, right? So any kind of rules you want to have at the bottom because that is the thing that comes in last, and that kind of just reinforces that it should be following this stuff the most. So generally, whenever you set up a prompt, this is the kind of like schematic that you want to follow. Moving on. So the model type, you can either do DaVinci or ChatGPT. Doesn't really matter too much which, but we're using ChatGPT here. Temperature, this is essentially how creative the bot is going to get. And so it's from a scale of 1 to 0, but the issue with the temperature, if you get it too high, is that it can actually start making stuff up. So you don't want it to be very high at all. Like you want it to have a little bit of wiggle room for it to interpret stuff and like actually try to make up or make its own answers, you know? But you don't want it to be you don't really want it to be too high or it'll start getting a little bit kind of crazy. It'll be kind of out there.
Yeah, it's usually better
Uh
to have it higher for outreach tasks or custom tasks, but not respond tasks. Respond tasks are more, you want it to be
mhm,
more factual, and the outreach and custom tasks, you're gonna have to be a little bit higher. Yeah, a little bit higher.
mhm. Do you want to take over, Quentin, or okay?
Sorry, I was muted. What have you gone through? Have you gotten through the hmm,
Uh, we've gone through the login process and the prompt and how you should set that up, and we just got to
okay,
temperature. So
cool. Yeah. All right. So what I'm gonna focus on today, and yeah, I'll take over. You can make me or don't make me host, but enable screen sharing sets so that I can share my screen. And
sure.
then I messed up a little bit on the Facebook event, and I did it differently, and I shouldn't have. Uh, so I'm gonna just edit the event real quick. Uh, or edit the link so that way people can show up to the event. Uh-oh. Facebook won't let me update the event. There it goes. Cool. So the biggest thing that people were kind of asking about this week is onboarding and like automated onboarding and how to make it as streamlined as possible so you can get your clients rocking as fast as possible. So I built an onboarding flow for this for auto repair. So that was like where I kind of started. Well, not where I started, but it was the niche I was going to go after with this AI. I had a whole thing called auto repair AI. And the whole purpose was I wanted to bring on auto shop owners by just simply filling out a Google form. Like it's a very straightforward, like you pay me, we take 5 minutes to go through and fill out this Google form, and then we schedule our onboarding call. And that flow makes it so that they give me money, they actually see something happen because they're going to get invited to the app and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to actually create confidence by getting all the answers to their questions right then and there, like in terms of it's going to seem very real. A lot, it kind of overcomes that purchase regret sometimes. And then you use their answers to update a templatized standard operating procedure to be able to onboard them nice and smooth. So we're recording. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share. And so this is the form that I made, and I'll share this with everybody. I'll just put it in the chat. So this form basically is what I would have them fill out. Well, I never got around to it because I ended up building another app halfway through, but I'll show you how far I got. I was ready. I was about to start running ads. And then I started building a Gmail integration, and that became so popular that I had to focus on it. But my team and I built all this ready to go. So they fill out their email, and this is more for like billing purposes to just keep up with, who owns what location IDs. And I'll show you why I did that in just a minute. Their name, the shop name. So this is their actual business name. What would you like to name your assistant? So just to get a bot name out of them, the address of their shop and their website, and then their hours. And then a very important part about this is they need to answer it conversationally. So it's like enter as you would in a conversation. So, Monday to Friday, we're open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. or something like that. Same thing with what kind of PM means preventative maintenance. So what kind of preventative maintenance services do you offer? So it's like, we help with oil changes, fluid flush, brake replacements, alignments, all that good stuff. And then what kind of makes and models do you work on? What kind of vehicles do you not offer? And remember, everything is conversational, right? So it's not like a bullet point list or anything like that. It's all in a conversational manner. And then this is where they get their OpenAI key and they put it into here. And then this is just to verify that they have put a payment method on file. And it's just because even if they've used their free or they have not used their free credits yet, and they still have room on their free credits, our system uses a lot more tokens per second than most other apps. And so we will violate an error, like a rate limit quickly, like very quickly. So on the free tier, because the difference between the free tier and the pay as you go tier on the rate limit is exponential. Like it's way, way higher on the paid pay as you go tier. So that's why it doesn't matter if you've already tried your free credit, you haven't used your free credits, still important to put a payment method on file. And so this is pretty simple, and you can expand on this as much as you want. If you have more questions you want to ask, all that stuff, you have other parts of your system that you need to fill out with this. But this is where I'd start. From here, this would go, all of their answers here would go into this templated sheet. So this templated sheet shows all of the questions that I asked. So where are you guys located? What are your hours? What kind of services do you offer? What types of vehicles do you work on? Are there any types of vehicles or services you don't do? So it's just 5 questions. And those all go here as custom values. And I have them listed here as custom values so that I know what the custom value is in my go high level location, so that I can just copy and paste their answer from their sheet into the actual custom value. So a lot of people asking like, can I use custom values in the sheet? Yes, you absolutely can, but it will only convert for now in high level. So high level has the ability to automatically convert these custom values into, what you have stored in your settings. But in the emulator, it won't show. And so if you want to do what we're going to talk about next, what you need to do is you need to make a copy of this. So don't actually edit this one, but keep this as your copy, as your main template. Make a copy of it for your new client that you're onboarding, and then replace the custom value with the actual answer. So like what the actual answer is going to be. And you could do all that through an automation too, like make. So you could use make to make a copy of this and then take their answer from the form and replace B1 with answer from question 5, right? Like match them up to what their answers are and then what it is in here. And then yeah, so that way it'll automatically fill this out. And then the only next step that you should have to do, there's kind of 2 things. One is the snapshot. And just in case you've never seen how a snapshot gets loaded, there's 2 ways. You can either create a brand new account. So you have to have at least the 297 agency unlimited plan from high level for this to work. But you basically need to you can create a sub account, and then you can say from my own snapshot. And then the snapshot should be the one that says should be able to drop it in the chat in case you guys haven't gotten it yet. But it's called the Capri GPT-3 template snapshot. And when you create a new account, if you create a new account from that snapshot, all of the all of the accounts moving forward will be rooted to that snapshot. So like if you create another account with that snapshot and then you push that snapshot out, like you make an update and then you push it out, or I'm sorry, that's if you create the account first and then load the snapshot. So if you want to anchor one account as the main account that you do all of your changes in, and you don't want any other changes in any other account to make any impact, which has always been a big deal in high level snapshots, what you should do is you should create one blank account. So you should start with just blank snapshot here, put absolutely nothing in it, and then go to that account here in your list and then click on, let's just click on the name of the actual account. And then under actions, you'll load the snapshot. Okay. And so you'll load the snapshot that Seth has loaded into the Zoom chat here, and we'll make sure it's linked in the YouTube recording as well. Every single one, we always have the YouTube recording linked to it as well. But you'd load that snapshot. That now becomes your anchor account. So this account, because it's received the snapshot manually like that, this is now the root anchor account. So from that point forward, you would go into that account and you would create a new snapshot of that account. So I know this is very confusing. It is being recorded. You can come back and watch over it. I think I'm going to try to come up with some kind of drawing or image that kind of helps with this. But this is just how loading automations and snapshots work, is if you have a blank account and you load a snapshot into it, or any account and you load a snapshot into it, this is now, it has all of that information, but it is not going to push that information out until you take a new snapshot of that account. Or if you have another snapshot loaded, if you refresh the snapshot. So let me put it to you this way. Snapshots are really, really hard to, to keep up with. So don't feel bad. But I have my Capri GPT-3 template snapshot, and I'll go to settings here. Go to, snapshot. So I have the Capri GPT-3 template snapshot. So I created this on April 20th, or updated it on April 20th from the account named Capri GPT-3 template account. So what I did was, this was a brand new blank account with absolutely nothing in it. I did all the automations and everything that I wanted to do in it, but I could have also imported all the automations that I need from another snapshot. So I could have loaded a snapshot into this account and had all my automations import that way. But now this root account has no impact on any other accounts. It can't do anything yet, until I came here and I created this snapshot called the Capri GPT-3 template snapshot. And it's based off of the exact configuration settings that I have in that template account at the time that I took this snapshot. And so now if I share that snapshot with anybody, it will import all of the information into their account. And if I push this update to linked accounts in my agency, and that is a key differentiator here, if I push the little update button to say update the changes to my snapshot to all of these accounts, because I made some changes and now I want to include those changes on all the accounts that have this snapshot linked to it, that's what I would use that button for. And it would automatically push anything that's different. It's basically going to do an update, and it's going to update all of the things from my current snapshot. It's going to update them in the existing accounts that are linked to it. So that's kind of the big thing here, is like, you need to be able to create one from scratch. If you don't want it to be imported, like if you don't want it to have any kind of impact from any other snapshots in your account that could be pushed, create it from scratch and don't load any kind of snapshot into it, because you now become a chain or a link in that chain. So if there's whenever a snapshot gets pushed into an account within an agency, within the same agency, it now becomes a link in that chain if that snapshot were to ever get updated, unless that snapshot are to get deleted, and then that relationship doesn't really exist anymore. But that is a bit about snapshots, and they're very complicated. And I definitely recommend talking to Go high level support team about that. But before I move on, do we have any questions about snapshots specifically? We're going to go over a lot more stuff, but specifically snapshots. Are there any questions? Okay, good. That means I explained it, or you guys are too scared to ask. Either way, we'll get there. Cool. So that's how snapshots work. So when you want to apply this to your clients, the best way that I would say is take a brand new account that you've never done anything in, load the snapshot into that account, configure it how you like for it to work, have it, import a bunch of other stuff, or have it, corrected to your client's needs and like the things that you have yourself, and then create a snapshot out of that account. Because you imported a snapshot from another agency, so because I don't have any kind of relationship to your agency, my updates to that snapshot will not automatically push to your account. So I will, like, you don't ever have to worry about my root snapshot overriding yours. So your account that you loaded that snapshot into can now become the root account that you keep everything in. And then all the accounts within your agency that you push out to are now sub nodes of that. So they're all chains in your chain. So that's the cleanest way to do the snapshot and keep it imported. And just keep that one account as the root template account that you do everything in, and then push to everybody out like that. And every new account that you create from that same snapshot, and you will always have a link to every account that you create, basically. So then once you have the account created, you with the snapshot loaded, that's when you would go in and you would go to that snapshot. So let's go look at that snapshot. And you would add all the custom values that you needed that are referenced here. So like the address, the hours, the services, the vehicles, the blacklisted vehicle, whatever it is that you have. So you would take all of these and the answers that they give from this form, and you would actually put them here in the spreadsheet. And then you can also put them in the custom values if you want, but you don't necessarily have to. The custom values that you do have to have, however, that you should also fill out as part of this automation is this: the prompt, the knowledge base, and the assistant name, the business name. The handoff prompt is optional. You don't have to have that, but the OpenAI key, definitely got to have that. And then model type is not in here because you can do it on the back end if you want. And, most people just hard code it in the webhook. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people will lock workflows away from their users where they don't want them to be able to see that. And so in your workflow here, load, computer might go a little slow today. Got like 3 code tabs open. It's mad at me. So in your webhook here, we've got all of these fields, right? So the custom values is like the prompt, and you don't have to put that as a custom value either. You can also hard code that into here, but this just makes it so that, like, because these are never going to change. I guess that's my biggest point here is this, and this are never going to change. So you don't need it's going to carry in from the snapshot. You ain't got to worry about it. The value of these, the actual, like what's in here, does not carry over. And this is what's going to change for every business, right? The prompt is going to be different for every business. The spreadsheet URL is going to be different for every business. The key is going to be different for every business. So that's what's not hard coded into here. That's the stuff that you use as custom values. And then whenever they submit that form, you take their answers to create your prompt. And so for prompts for auto repair specifically, for example, this is the one that I've created, right? And so it's like, you are Ashley, the friendly assistant for example auto shop, the premier auto shop in some town, Georgia. Example auto shop has been serving the some town area for 20 years with reliable, preventative, and corrective maintenance. So if you guys have ever done like Mad Libs or like, those kind of like language exercises, this is kind of an example of one of those where you're telling a story, but story is just basically templatized because it's always the same story. And if you guys don't have this GPT-3 doc, Seth's also going to link that in the chat. But we have what the template story should be in this GPT-3 doc. So basically, you are, assistant name, the friendly assistant for company name. Company name is XYZ. They do things like, ABC. And then from the rest of it is where you're kind of describing what their goal is, which is like, hey, you should try to book an appointment for the contact. And, you should answer any questions that they have, but you should only answer the questions that they ask. And you should not repeat yourself. And you should wait for them to answer the current question you have before asking the next. And like, this is like, it's always going to be the same. You're always going to have the same instructions, just like you would, because it's a position, right? These are the positional instructions. These are like an assistant has to follow these rules. It doesn't matter who the assistant is, if it's a human or an AI, they all got to follow these rules. There's a lot more that's implied, but that's the beauty of GPT-3 and ChatGPT. That's what they've done for us, is they've taught most of the implied rules about what an assistant does. And all you got to do is just specify about what your assistant does. So that's kind of the cool little trade-off here. But so, if you guys need access to this again, it's totally free, open for everybody to have. Just get that GPT-3 doc. But this is how the story should kind of go to create like a scheduling assistant. And the reason that we have it in here is so that the emulator works. So everything that we've done so far with this, just the snapshot and the form, all of that is all you got to do, and you're good to go. The only other thing you have to do one time is you do have to log in to here, make sure that the URL is exactly this, systems.capri.us. You got to log in one time with your email, and then one time with the account. So if I wanted to add auto repair sub 1, because this is my first one, oh, I guess I didn't create a number 1. That's funny. If I want to create number 2, is 2 in there? What is number 2? Oh my gosh, I should have done 0, 2. I bet it's going to be, yeah, no, I have too many of them. Okay. Well, did he do O2? No, I didn't. Anyway, if I want to add any of these, let's say, number 11, for example, or number 6, when you come into here, it's actually going to ask, do you want to import the most recent account settings? So if you say yes, it'll bring in everything like the prompt, and I think the temperature settings and the max length, but it doesn't bring in like the key or any of the other settings. So, do with that what you will. You can choose if you want it or not, but it'll always ask you that whenever you don't have a key in this account. But for our purposes, all you got to do is log in and get to this page one time, and you're good. You can exit out of here, and that's it. Like, we now have access to this account, and it's just this little OAuth process here. This login with high level thing that we do here. This is the most important thing for us. This is what gives Capri access to your account. And so this is what you have to do whenever, you just want to get a new account added. And then other than that, that's it. Like, you don't have to do anything else, as long as you have the form filled out and you have the snapshot loaded and you have all the custom values filled out. That's it. So the only other thing is just making sure that here you either have to have this set to anyone with the link so that we have access to it, or if you just want to make sure only we have access to it, you got to add our email here, which you can find in the little question mark. All you got to do is just add this email as a reader. So you just go to the sheet, click here, and add that email, and you can just give us view access, and that's enough. And that makes it so our system can actually read the sheet because we use the API. And then if you want to do the extension, Seth's going to put the link to the video for the knowledge base extension. But whenever this sheet goes beyond about 30 rows, you normally are going to want to get the knowledge base extension. But the purpose of this is to make it so you don't even need that. All you want to really do is have this be what you put, or something similar to this, like factual questions and answers, nothing related to the sales process, nothing related to our pricing and all that kind of stuff, just leave it that this is it. Just factual questions and answers so it's not wrong. From there, you then want to have them go to the emulator. And this is where you want to have them actually correcting the questions and answers. So in case you guys haven't seen this yet, you can come directly here and say, hey, how are you? All that kind of stuff. And if you ever want to change what it's saying in its response, you can click here and say, great. Great. How are you? And I like that better. So I'm going to click save here. And when I click save, now it saves that as a memory. And so that fine tunes the model a little bit, not actually fine tuning. Don't worry. I'm not charging, like, you guys aren't spending money on the fine tune models. It's expensive, but we're creating a memory system that allows us to pull up previous memories of conversations that are similar and then generate the answer based off of what you said in the past. And so now if I were to refresh it, say, hi, how are you? A little bit different, but pretty much the same. It should say something along the lines of, I'm great. How are you? It's very slow though. Oh, live demos are always fun. There you go. Doing great. Thanks. How can I assist you today? So it's kind of overcoming its own bias. So that's kind of a big thing, is like, I have in the spreadsheet for this account specifically, I have it answering, hi, how are you, in a different way, probably. Or I have other conversations in here in my emulator list that are different. So like that's the most recent one that I did, but I could have lots of other conversations. So it'll never be exactly what I said, but it'll be pretty close. And the more unique it is and the less it's found in other parts of your training data, the more it will stick to what you said. So, and that's kind of the point of doing the low temperature. So if you have like lots of different ways to respond to a question, it'll kind of pull from all of them, and it'll, you know, it'll know what to say, but it'll just kind of come up with a conglomerate of all of it. Versus if you only have a question and answer in there one time, it's only that, like, there's no other similar question besides that one. It's always going to use the answer from that. And so you'll have to just kind of overpower it with training. So in addition to this, though, obviously this is kind of a lot of work for you. If you're on the enterprise plan, which is $297 a month, you can actually come here and you can embed the iFrame, or embed the emulator in an iFrame. So you can come here and you go to custom menu link under your agency settings, go to the custom menu link here. And basically all you got to do is you got to put a new menu item like this. And then you just got to put a couple of query parameters. So this is in the docs as well. It's a little bit farther down, but you basically just have to do, I guess I didn't put a picture in there, but this is the URL. So it's systems.capri.us/menu/emulator. And then in the question, after the question mark, you just got to put location equals location.id and token equals your Capri token. And if you're on the enterprise plan, if you're on the $297 a month plan, all you got to do to get your token is just go over here to your little knowledge book thing here. And then your Capri token is right there. You just click to reveal. And then it'll show you your token. And then you're able to put that here in the URL. And I don't want to show you guys my token because it's kind of a pain to change it out. But that's all you got to do. You just got to put that in the custom menu link, and then you just choose, which I don't think it'll show if I do this. Oh, maybe it will. Oh, well, gotta change my token. But this is how you do it. You say show on account sidebar, and you choose the accounts that you want to show it to, iFrame inside the platform. And what that ultimately looks like is here, you have the emulator show up just like this for your client, and it's totally white labeled. So nowhere in here will it say Capri or high level or anything. If it says CRM, it just says CRM. If it says AI, it says AI provider, or OpenAI. It talks about OpenAI, but it's totally white labeled. So as far as your clients know, this is yours. Like they don't know anything, they don't know anything different. And like we made it so that like even the error messages are white labeled. It's like they don't even say our name, like systems.capri.us or anything like that. So this is a new feature, super excited about it. And you can have them train it as well. So you can be like, hi there. And like your clients have the ability to do the same thing where they can click on the little thing, they can train, just say, hey, how can I help you today? You hit update and then hit save. And then there you go. It's still white labeled, saved successfully. And when you click, refreshes, good to go. And so that's all they'll see. And so they can just come in here and go crazy with it and fine tune. There's really no limit. Nobody's hit a limit yet. I'll let you know if one of you guys do. But we can scale infinitely. Like we set this system up to scale as far as we need to go. So as far as memories go and like saving sessions and stuff like that, we'll be fine. The only limits we might hit is OpenAI's API limits, or maybe high levels API limits, but you know, they have pretty high limits. But yeah, that's a new feature. So I'm pretty excited about that one. And then the other big feature that I just wanted to show is if your clients are ever having trouble, which am I in the, let me go to the recruiting. If your clients are ever having trouble with connections now, you can also go here and you can actually look in the contact record. And in the notes section, it'll show what the error is. So now you can go to notes and it'll tell you what the issue is. So incorrect API key, chat GPT. So this just means I misspelled chat GPT in the webhook step, something like that. Yeah, anything that's missing, like if you're missing your open temperature, if you're missing your key, like anything like that, it'll all show up here. So just released that yesterday. Pretty excited about it. So yeah, so that's pretty much my whole spiel for today for onboarding, automated onboarding. You can do everything we talked about through Make, and I was really hoping I was going to have a make.com scenario ready for you guys to share. But I couldn't get it in time. So yeah. So cool. We'll go through the questions in order and see what's going on here.
So the first question that we had was from Jordan Ursel.
Mhm.
And he had a question about being able to use Capri as a better positive/negative intent interpreter. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. Do you mind if I share my screen? Just to kind of show you what I'm trying to do.
You'll have to enable the show. So
Yeah, it's already.
Oh,
started.
sweet. Cool. Yeah, so I'll try to be as quick as possible. So we run reactivation campaigns for our clients. We basically want to replace our existing workflow with the agent. So the way it works is we send like a condensed offer. So it would say something like, hey, we have like 50% off of some kind of package, all the details. And then if the person responds that they do, basically we send the details of it. So it's just like an expanded offer. And then if they're interested, what we basically want to do is we want to notify our clients so that they can call them and book them, or they can just like get back to them with more info or whatever. So like basically what I'm trying to do is set it up so we respond to this first part of it in the correct way. And then there's just, I'm just kind of getting stuck because there's like a bunch of different situations that end up popping up based on how people reply. So if someone says yes, then we can add them to a workflow that's going to like send that offer. If they say no, then we don't do that. But then there's like a bunch of these kind of edge case situations, which I'm just trying to figure out how to build within it. So like the way I've set it up is we have a reply prompt. So I said like, you've sent a database of customers an offer for a new promotion at our business, and you're determining the correct response or action based on the following database of replies and then handoff conditions. And then if the response is not referenced within the handoffs or database, then don't reply. And then basically we have, this is kind of assuming that like I built it with the assumption that we'd have like the you'd be able to add like a tag based on a custom condition. I know that's not out yet, but I just wanted to like I was just kind of started building in that way. So I guess basic question is, does this make sense?
Yeah.
And
So
is there
yeah,
like
look, you're just, and this happens a lot, so don't take offense to this, but you're overcomplicating it really. You're like, you're thinking about it in a method of like a mini chat style chatbot, or
right?
like a, you know, a one for one conversational chatbot. So this is a fully contextual conversational chatbot. So it has access to the full conversation history of every message that gets sent outbound to the contact and inbound from the contact. And it has your prompt and it has your sessions that you saved. So, and you can do the handoff prompt. So from what it sounds like you're saying you want to do, really you just automatically send the messages out there. And in your prompt, you would basically just describe and say, you know, if they say that they're interested, simply offer them XYZ and like continue the conversation. And you can use the handoff, or I would say you could probably use the handoff prompt to describe and say that the contact has shown interest in learning more about our product. And then that will add the handoff tag. And then the handoff tag can kick off whatever it is that you want to have happen. And then if they say that they're not interested, then you can, for right now, you can actually use the disqualify prompt right now. So that's probably the best thing to do. So just updated the docs like an hour ago. So I apologize. I thought it was already in there, but you can do the same
Okay.
thing you do with handoff with disqualify. So you can put a disqualify parameter in your webhook, and then you can say the contact is uninterested in continuing forward, or they are angry that we responded to them, yada, yada, yada. And so it gives you that
Yeah.
kind of polar opposite prompt that you can set up. And then, yeah, hopefully by Monday, guys, we will have custom tags ready to go to where you can actually describe the prompt, and then it'll add the tag when that prompt is met. The issue I'm running into right now is you guys want to get really creative with it and have like 10 tags. And that hits API rate limits really, really fast when you have 10 calls back to back to back. And so I have to batch them and still make it. So like there might be a little bit of a delay, you know, like I'll have the response go out first from your bot and then do the tag checks, but that'll cause issues with, you know, wait times on automations, right? Where it's like, okay, they responded, and then now I want to see if they have this tag before I respond again, because I want to change my prompt based off of what tags they have added to them. Like that's probably the most common scenario that people want with that. And that's only possible if the tag has time to get added before you fire the webhook, right? So it's like contact replied, wait to check for tags, fire the webhook. This wait time here is what's variable depending on how many tags you guys are wanting to add at once. But the only other option is I just violate an API limit and then everything doesn't work. Like you don't get a response at all because, you know, for you guys to just get like a little bit of an insight on what's going on in the background here, we're calling the OpenAI API probably 3 or 4 times for every API call. So that's why your token rate limits matter so much here. And we did not like pilot this. We are not the first ones to do it this way. There's other big open source projects that are doing exactly this for way wider domain stuff than just scheduling in the CRM. Like they're Cody.ai is one, for example, where they give you the ability to connect like internal HR docs and website information and stuff like that. And then it's an internal tool for you to chat with it. So they use a ton of tokens as well because they have like other types of actions that they want to have happen and have the ability to do and stuff. So all that to say, what you're looking to do can be done with handoff and disqualify. So those two things. When the tags do come, there will likely be a delay depending on how many you have, because I have to spread out the check depending on how many tags overall there are, because I had to make a bunch of API calls. And so that will just kind of be the trade-off with those custom tags. It's like, yes, they give you crazy amounts of flexibility with what you can do and like changing the prompt out in between responses, but you will need to wait longer for the system to catch up. And when I say longer, guys, I want to give a relative time here. I'm talking seconds here. So like usually it's like 2 to 3 seconds. This would make it like 10 to 15 seconds, right? For the delay. So not minutes, which is terrible, but it's long enough to be unnatural, especially in like a Facebook or Instagram type of setting. SMS, it's not too big of a deal, but Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business chat, it can be a little unnatural to have that that long of to have that long of a delay between messages.
Cool. And so, yeah, so you're also saying that it's better to just like train it via the emulator, go through all the different situations, save it, and then just do it like that rather than trying to include them all in different conditions.
Yeah. The prompt should really just be an overview of like who the assistant is, who they work for, what that business does, and all the rules that you want the bot to follow during the conversation. And then the more fine tuning and stuff comes from the emulator. The emulator is where you really create a knowledge like memory base. And then the knowledge base, really, I started out with a knowledge base thinking it would be the only way I give people ability to put custom information. But then we finished the emulator and I was like, okay, well, this is much more powerful for training than the sheet. But people are treating the sheet like the memory. You know what I mean? So it's not really meant to be that. It's more so supposed to be just like a fact sheet.
Yeah. And sorry, just one more follow-up question. Is there a way to get the agent to like just like not say anything based on what someone says using like the knowledge base? So let's say someone asks like a question, can you just train it to just like not answer that and like add a handoff or do like a disqualification? Or is that not possible? Would you have to include that?
You could do disqualify. You can do the disqualify. So disqualify and handoff won't return a response. Like both of those, like if the condition is met for those, it will just add the tag and then it just won't say anything after that.
Okay.
In terms of beyond that, the workaround would be you use the custom tag functionality that we're going to release, and then you do a wait to see if that tag got added. No, you can't do that either because it's still going to return a response. So yeah, disqualify and handoff is about the only way that we could give you that functionality and still have it be universal across everybody. Because a big thing we have to consider is like something that works really, really well for one person might break it completely and make it useless for everybody else. So
gotcha.
Gotta keep
and could you train the emulator to do that? To just say like
you can't because the bot is always going to respond. Like that's what it's trained to do. It's an AI and it's always going to respond. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Cool.
Okay, so the next quick question was let's see. DeMarcus was wondering if Capri could like crawl company websites and like gather information and stuff from them.
No, not yet, but we are on the roadmap. We do have more knowledge sources planned besides a sheet. So you give us basically any URL and we'll tell you if we were able to get the data from it or not, and if it's stored or not. Okay. So coming soon, probably 3 months. that's a bit of a challenge, but yeah, we want to get there.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question. Let's see. How will we give somebody a free trial? Or let's say we give somebody a free trial. How will we go about getting them ready to go right after signing up for their free account without having to hop on a Zoom call and set it up with them? I assume that's just kind of like, setting up a snapshot that has like all the different stuff already put into
Yeah, I mean,
it.
you can get as automated as you want with that process that I showed earlier. Like you could do all of that through API calls, like that form getting filled out, duplicating the sheet, updating the answers, loading the answers into the custom values, loading the snapshot into the account. If you have the 497 plan, you can create the account. So yeah, you could have a make scenario that like takes that form submission alone. The only thing that you have to do is log in once, and you don't want your client to have access to that anyway. Like you don't want your client to like log in and see marketplace.gohighlevel.com, right? Because that kind of breaks the white label. So as long as you do that flow one time, and you can maybe tell them like, hey, everything's ready, we're just finalizing the resources for your AI or something like that, and you get a notification when that form is filled out, or your VA gets a notification when that form is filled out, that they got to go to that new account, log in one time, and that's it. And then everything else from there can just be automated. Like all the custom values can be updated through the API, from the form answers, and the iFrame will automatically show up in the emulator. I think if you have it set to show to all agency sub accounts, every new sub account that you create automatically has the custom menu item shown. So it would literally just be creating the account, and that should be it.
All right. Next question that we had was from Alex Ivanov. He asked, is there a way to tell the emulator that it should have done a handoff prompt instead of trying to answer the question?
No, we do want to allow for training actions in the emulator eventually. And we actually have a design for it. It's a very, very crude design, and it's just between me and my developer because that's just how we work. But eventually you will have like this capability here, if you all can see. I don't know how clear that is, but like this is what we're gonna add in next, is like, should it have added the tag and what tag should it have been? And so if you wanted it, or if it's like, disqualify or handoff, something like that, you can place that in here and then save it. And so like the front end's not too hard. It's getting it to save on the back end and actually have an impact is where I gotta keep doing some work. But we're getting there. For right now, it's just having a clear handoff prompt. That's really about it.
Okay, makes sense.
The handoff prompt, if you're very vague with it, we've noticed can be sensitive. I mean, even us, like me and Seth, we've had conversations unnecessarily handoff because we were just too vague with the prompt. So like just having one very short, brief description is usually what we default to, but like you can give more of a backstory, like what is the story about and why should the handoff condition, like what is the handoff condition that makes sense, basically.
Yeah, I guess, well, in the examples that I've seen that you guys use for your handoff prompts, it's you're trying to meet conditions as to like, okay, the conversation is kind of done and it's ready to be passed off. Whereas what I'm talking about is not the conversation is done, but there's troubleshooting or like it doesn't know the answer.
Mm.
The prompt, right? Like, you mentioned in the original prompts, if you don't know the answer to this, then don't answer and hand off.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So what are you trying to get it?
Do you have to make the handoff prompt only around, hey, you got everything you need, you met all the conditions? Can it also be like,
No.
if you don't know the answer to all of these questions as well?
No, anything. I mean, yeah, you can put like, you're not sure about the answer, but our fallback system is supposed to do that automatically. So if your bot says something like, I'm not entirely sure about that, or I'm sorry, I may not be the best person to answer that, something like that. If it feels not sure and it says something like that, our system will add the fallback reach tag. And then the fallback reach tag, there's by default, it's silent. There's no response. And then you can change it to also say what it should have said.
Okay. So you can
You're
do
having
it
some trouble with it.
whether you want it to respond and tag or not.
Yeah.
Respond.
Yeah. By default, it will always tag. But then, you can have it respond and tag. For fallback specifically, handoff and disqualify, it says nothing. It's silent.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Awesome.
So next question, or I guess this was not really a question, more a statement. DeMarcus was talking about a checklist for onboarding. Do we have anything for that?
We don't, but maybe using this video we can. For sure. Yeah. We'll put that on the docket for sure. Put that in the sauna.
Gotcha. Graydon was asking about a calendar ETA on the calendar updates and the custom tagging. And the custom tagging, you said hopefully by Monday.
I think I think Monday I can have custom tagging done. The calendar updates, I've been working through it all weekend. So we are still in beta on the calendar integration. I want to make sure everybody knows that. I've gotten it to a pretty decent place. I feel like it's, for the most part, it's doing pretty good. But we are still dealing with a generative model here, and so they can be unpredictable. And that's why prompt engineering is such a big deal. Like what we're doing on our side is just constantly updating our system prompts that deal with integrating with the calendar. So basically, we're trying to, because like out of the box, ChatGPT thinks it doesn't know how to access the internet and it doesn't know how to write code or do, it doesn't know how to make API calls and stuff like that. So we have to kind of convince it a little bit that it does have access to the internet and that we need to get some information about this conversation and stuff like that. So it's a lot of storytelling, prompting, tricking, like, playing with words and stuff like that, and playing with the pattern of language to get it to get the full context of the story and accurately interact with the calendar. So we're making changes every day, seeing how they do. Sometimes they do great, sometimes they don't. But you know, as we discover more and get better with it, we're gonna continue to drop it out for you guys for sure.
Okay. Next question. Jeremiah was asking about storing responses into the contact, like first name, last name, and stuff like that. And he said, do I have to pull the webhook for each new response so that I can use the Go High Level workflow to store the value?
Right. So yeah, so ultimately what you're describing is updating contact fields with the bot through the API. That is also on the roadmap. We don't have that ability. We're gonna get tags first, and then we're gonna get the calendar finished, and then we're gonna move on to custom fields and get custom fields rolled in as well, because it's definitely a big request.
Okay. Next question. Let's see. So Alan was asking, can I have it gather a few pieces of info before scheduling an appointment? For instance, ask the buyer what area they're looking, how many beds, how many baths, etc. And then after it's gathered those answers, then try to schedule an appointment.
Yep. Yeah, so you absolutely can do that through prompting. So in your prompt, you would tell it what its responsibility is. So like our core prompt says, like, you know, your main responsibility is to schedule an appointment. You would just then add a little bit into it, like, you know, before you schedule the appointment, you should first establish the following things with the contact. First, you should establish how soon the contact is looking to move. If they're looking to move in less than six, or, you know, that's all you have to say is just like, look how soon they're looking to move. Then after they've established that, and like you can describe the order in which you want it to ask as well. So it's like, then you should ask the contact about, you know, their budget, and then ask the contact about this and that and this and that. So that's how you would prompt it to qualify the contact. And I think I'll do another video soon about that, because we are getting to the end of this one. But that's how you would go about doing that.
I just quickly about that. Well, I was thinking of having two different promptings and just having a second workflow where like the first prompt is just asking the questions, not trying to schedule an appointment. And then that would maybe, and I'm thinking it can tag, you know, once it's gathered beds, tag beds, once it's gathered baths, tag baths, whatever it is, you know, and then once it's got those tags, then it'll go into the next workflow. So, because I was trying to create the workflow that way, and maybe I just got to play with the prompting, or at least. So you told me if it's better to do prompting or create two separate workflows so I can have separate promptings. Because it kind of, sometimes it's like going for the appointment before it's gathered the info, and for the agents we're providing these leads to, we're ideally at least wanting to get them for buyer leads, beds, bathrooms, area, timeline with the appointment is what we're working towards. Is that more on the prompting side or creating a second workflow, would you say?
Yeah, I would say if it's not doing too great with following those instructions first, then yeah. And those are, because those are two separate tasks, right?
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, so with handoff, you can use the handoff both ways, right? So it's like, let's say that in the handoff prompt, you have established like the contact has established, you know, answer to question one. So it's like the contact has established the time frame they're looking to move. The contact has established their budget. The contact has established this, that, the other. Put that in your handoff prompt in the workflow for the first condition, basically, where they don't have the handoff tag. And then once the handoff tag gets added, you could run an automation from that and then say, you know, add the qualified tag and remove the handoff tag. And then from that point, when the reply comes in, if they have the qualified tag, now the prompt is focused on scheduling. And then you also send a message out whenever that qualified tag comes out that says, hey, let's go ahead and get a quick call scheduled with one of our agents. What day works best for you?
To initiate it responding again, essentially.
Right. Exactly. Because
Awesome.
it won't respond after handoff. Yeah.
Sweet. That answers my question. Thank you.
Cool.
That's pretty much most of the questions. Andre did ask for that kind of thing that would be like in the prompt or the handoff. You could probably focus on the handoff, right? Like if you want it to actually, stop responding after it gets all the information that it's required
Yeah.
and then move on. Yeah.
Handoff. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be the handoff.
And then last question, Jeremiah was asking if we're ever thinking about sharing our roadmap publicly.
Yeah, sure. When we get more devs, we'll put it out there for sure.
Okay, I think that's he did have a interesting idea. We could put the recording transcript for this in GBT and then have it create an onboarding
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. No, I know. I think that's probably what we're gonna do, honestly. We'll see me that of the transcript.
Andre was asking, can it hand off in one workflow and send that contact to a new workflow where the AI picks up again to book the appointment?
Yeah, that's what we just talked about. If you didn't hear it, you should be able to catch it in the replay. But yeah, that's exactly what I was just telling Alan you can do.
But as for that, I think that just about wraps that up then.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it. And talk to you guys soon.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye.